So I'm going to recreate a build from one of my good friends Mark over at Not Just Wood. This is part of a wider maker challenge where we take inspiration from one of our peers, make a product that they've made and put our own little spin on it to either make it slightly better or change it slightly to be something different but still resembling the original piece. So here goes. So this project starts like many others, trying to find a suitable piece of scrap. Luckily for me, I've got a few offcuts of birch from a table and these will do just nicely. So this project, this is 12 centimetres wide by 43.5, and thickness wise we are looking at 25-26 mil. For these plants we're looking at about, I think about 70 mil should do us. So I'm not too sure how well that's showing up in Lightburn, but the design is simple. We've got a box around the outside with some rounded corners and we've got two holes. Now I just need to make sure that that is going to fit onto what is my last bit of spare ply. The problem I've got with this only being 2 mil thick is I need to double it up. So let's hope it all works out. If anyone's interested, I'm going to try and figure out a way to make these plans free, but I'm not much of a tech guy, so no promises, but if I can do it, you can have them. Just let me know in the comments. So as I dare to show you an angle of the workshop that I don't usually show, because it's so messy, I suppose I should explain what I'm actually making. In Mark's video, he made a tea light holder, but I've made quite a few of them lately, so I'm going to change it to a very similar design, but use some artificial plants that are sat in plant pots. This should hopefully jazz them up from the boring, steady state that they are and give them that little elegant touch that hopefully I might be able to turn into a product that I can sell. So the wood is in the machine. There's my power lead. What a nightmare. Things I do for maker challenges. Like they say, can never have enough clamps. Look at that magic. I think having a laser is one of the most undervalued pieces of kit in a workshop. Not because I like to do anything fancy with it, but I can make a jig in no time with this thing. And when I'm selling stuff, that's invaluable because it means that I can just repeat the same process again and again. But while the jig's getting made, it's time to mill up our stock. Now this was nice and thick, this piece at 20 odd mil, but I don't need it that thick, so I'm going to re-saw it. Basically a posh way of saying I'm going to chop it in half lengthways. To do this, I line up the centre mark on my table saw and I make multiple passes, raising the blade each time. It's important to remember if your blade doesn't go all the way, you need to flip it over head to foot and not side to side. And that gives us a well scorched bookmarked piece. I think it's time I clean my blades or maybe even treat myself to a new one. If only there was a piece of kit that could clean this straight up. Ah, there you are, old friend. A couple of whizzes through the wood muncher and this thing came up absolutely fantastic. Again, another valuable piece of kit is a good thickness planer. I can't tell you how much this has reduced my sanding from having a battered old crappy one to actually a piece of kit that works well. I mentioned earlier that I needed to make two parts for my template. That's because at 2mm there's not enough purchase area for my pattern bit to follow the line. So I've doubled up my templates and I'm now going to use the good old-fashioned double-sided tape to attach it to my wood. It's really important here that it's A, really secure, but then 2, you remove as much of the material as you can so your router bit has to do as little work as possible. Now don't get me wrong, if you've got a big 1/2 inch router, you probably don't need to remove as much, but I'm working from a small battery powered router some of the times and it just doesn't have the guts that these bigger machines have. So getting rid of all the excess is really, really valuable. Now there's many ways to get rid of all this excess. Here you can see me using the table saw, sneaking up as close as I dare to the template, but it just depends on the pieces because holes in the middle, I'm using my drill press and a Forstner bit. In an ideal world, I would have used a hole cutter. Sadly, my template is at 70mm and my hole cutter was at 72. Clearly doesn't work. But with all the excess removed, it's on to the routing now. And as I'm going through this video, I'm realising that I'm turning to all the pieces of kit that I've managed to upgrade this year. Some have been big purchases and some have been smaller ones. This router table has been a game changer, especially for dust collection. I can't believe how little dust I now create on what used to be one of the worst tools for messing up my workshop. Coming into the circles on the inside, it's important to remember to go the opposite way than you normally would with a router table. With everything all flush, trimmed and neat, a quick little bit of decorator spatula manages to free the template. A touch of sanding on the edge. Here I'm using 150 grit. This brings it up to a nice sort of smoothness that I want. Smooth enough that it looks good, but not too smooth that it won't take any finish. Sanding, as always, comes in many shapes and sizes. Now for all them tools I've spent money on that I've said have improved my shop, here's a piece of kit that really has done it for free. This is one of the most simplest jigs you can make. It started out as being a way for me to set feet on chopping boards at the same distance from a corner, but I've found it comes in useful for any time that you want to make a hole on 4 corners where you need exact spacing. It's simply 3 little bits of leftover plywood. And once we've made all our marks, it's time to go through increasing the size of the drill bit each time. In these holes, I'm going to seat some dowel. This is going to give separation from the top piece and the bottom piece and hopefully give that little bit of pizzazz that a solid piece of wood wouldn't have. It's always really important, especially when you're trying something for the first time, to do a bit of a dry fit. There's nothing worse than putting glue on something only to find out that it doesn't fit or go together. And after a couple of small little tweaks with the drill, this is all ready to go. Now if I were to do this again, I'd use the drill press. That's where I went wrong on this one, but you've got to live and learn. Now it's time to add the glue, and this is where the odd little bits of kit come in. I buy these wooden knife and forks for about £1 a bag for over 100, and they're great for little applications like glue spreaders or getting dust out of things. Really valuable piece of kit. And with everything all glued up, I'm going to finish this with some polyurethane, mainly because this is going to go in a high traffic area and I don't want it staining or marking. Always remember to use your gloves because this stuff gets very sticky very quick. Now if you haven't used any of this wipe on poly, it's absolutely fantastic. You can coat, denib and recoat 3 times in about 25 minutes. And speaking of denibbing, I like to use these sanding sponges. This is 600 grit and this is absolutely fantastic for knocking down those edges after you've put a bit of finish on. Keeps it nice and smooth, and also if you've got an awkward size or shape piece like I have here. Now this ended up coming out so well that my mother-in-law's asked for one to buy. So I'm absolutely made up with how this has come out. A nice easy project. It's took less than half an hour and that includes the design work. Now this is going to be dead easy to knock out these extra units because all it is eat, sleep, rinse, repeat. And the great thing is you don't have to go by any set measurements. The stock can be as thick as you want. You can adapt it any way that you need to. For instance, these little dowels that I've used that were just cheap and available, you could change it up for something like walnut that would contrast with the wood. Maybe even charge a couple more pounds. Change the joinery on the top, make it a through dowel with a little wedge in it. Little things like that sometimes change the price. So thank you very much for watching. Please go check out Mark's video, hit a like and subscribe. I'm going to leave a link to his channel and the other makers that are taking part down in the description. So that just leaves me to say a couple of things. I'm Ross, this is an unintentional sale on Fat Hog Woodworking, and I'll see you hopefully on the next build video.